Good afternoon, everybody. Ooh, that's a loud mic. Hi, Michael Supanbot, Director of Client Marketing at AOL Networks. I'm here to introduce Brian Tomasette, who's our Director of Platform Sales. He's going to be talking to you guys about data in the next hour. Brian has really been instrumental at AOL and AOL Networks in developing and driving our programmatic advertising strategy. And so he, has driven the adoption of our Adler Open platform, which is our DSP, with clients. And so in that capacity, he's looked a lot at data over the past couple of years and worked with clients to find the best ways to employ data to more effectively market to their customers. So, Brian?
Thank you. So I want to start with a couple questions, and then I'll kind of do a little bit of a level set on what I'm going to talk about today and get into it. So, who out there has ever bought third-party data? And keep your hands up. Who's still buying it? Okay. And who does retargeting? Come on, it should be all the hands for that. I guess maybe some of you don't buy display advertising. And who uses a DMP? So I only see like 4 hands for using a DMP. So I'm going to talk about, so I work primarily in display advertising, but in the past year, our business has evolved. I started at advertising.com in 2002. AOL bought our company in 2004. I worked for that company for about 8 or 9 years, mostly selling advertising, working on campaigns as either an analyst or a salesperson. Then I left for 2 years and went over to the client side and did consulting for a big advertiser and kind of got an opportunity to see if what I was slinging out there for the past 8 or 9 years actually works. Because, it's easy to go into a room and say, oh, you got to buy this, it's going to work, it's going to be great for you. And then when you're on the other side and you're doing your planning and you have to spend $100 million and you don't really care what channel you buy your advertising on, you just care whether it works and whether you hit your customer goals and hit your cost goals and hit your profitability goals, then, that's where the rubber meets the road. That's where everything that I kind of learned up until then was put to the test. So I'm going to be talking today about data, how to use data, your own data, third-party data, publishers' data, to make your advertising work better. And the lens I have is mostly display, but in this past year it's evolved to mobile and into video as we acquired Adapt TV maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago, yeah. So, the good thing about, just to finish that last story, I went back to advertising.com and AOL after 2 years on the client side. And I feel like maybe I'm a little wiser because of it. And I would say most of what I knew and most of what I thought and most of what I was selling was true. And I think in this presentation I've been able to kind of distill down how I would set up a marketing plan by using your data that's available. Okay, so first you have to think about your data sources, right? So this is an interactive conference, so mostly we care about the data that's online because we can decision on it better, it's more persistent, and it's more usable. And we get that from DMPs. Does everybody know what a DMP is, or should I give kind of like a brief definition of that? Okay. Sure. So a DMP is a data management platform, and it's essentially kind of a marketing term that the industry has created to separate all of the cookie-based targeting as well as any database targeting into a platform and make a nice, clean user interface so that the marketer can use that data and then make that data portable out to a demand-side buying platform, an ad network, or a publisher's website that they want to buy on, or they can analyze campaigns. So, for example, paid search advertising, you can't schedule each individual impression. You can only buy the clicks. So you could see from the data management platform what audiences you got to click and what audiences you drove into your site, but you can't exactly, target what audiences you want to show ads to. So it's either reporting on the after effect of your advertising based on data and audiences, or slicing, dicing, anding, oring, and knotting audiences together and porting them out to buying platforms to actually decide what impressions you do and don't want to buy based on the data that you think is valuable. It's a very useful tool. Whether you need it as a marketer, I think I saw 4 raised hands, and a lot more people are raising their hands on third-party and retargeting. So maybe you don't need it. Maybe it's a cost decision, and maybe you could cobble together a similar solution internally. But we'll talk more about that. A container tag solution. So a container tag solution is essentially a piece of JavaScript that all the different ad networks, DSPs, search engine, Facebook, anybody that gives you a tracking beacon that's going to help them optimize on, you can kind of decision which ones you want to show and capture the data that your publisher or your buying partner is seeing and track that data and decision which ones you want to show where. Ad servers. Everybody uses an ad server whether they know it or not. Every ad network, every demand-side platform, every DMP, every publisher, every search engine, every social media site has some sort of ad-serving solution. Anywhere that there's ads, there's some sort of ad-serving solution. And what's important about that for this discussion is all of that tagging is sending calls off to a server somewhere and storing that data somewhere. And we're going to talk about how you can get access to that data and how to make sense of it and make it useful. Ad networks and publishers, and I'll group, demand-side platforms, supply-side platforms, and your classical ad network like an advertising.com or a ValueClick or a Tribal Fusion into that category. And these guys have been around for 15 or so years. They use a ton of data to give you performance. They take principal risk on inventory. They have a lot of optimization, and they've learned a lot because they've seen a lot of the different advertisers come into their platform, seen a lot of different buying models, and they know what works. So why not kind of negotiate with them and try and get them to turn over some of your marketing data for you to use. Same thing with publishers. Publishers have plenty of data. And then site-side analytics. I'm sure every bigger advertiser, whether you know it or not, somebody in your IT department has probably done a contract with Omniture or put a Google Analytics tag somewhere on your site. That's collecting data about your customers, about what they're doing. Then there's offline data. This is where it gets a little scarier for us online marketers, because how to get that, that mainframe database, that old mainframe database of mortgage records from 20 years ago, or insurance policies, or whatever your business, or airline bookings, how to make use of that, how to do it in a way that doesn't violate your customer's privacy policy, and how to get it online, right? How do you get, or even file drawers full of information? How do you get that stuff online? Email lists. I consider email lists an offline data source because the email address isn't always connected live online and is often kind of transferring text back and forth and not a live internet connection. So you often have to take an email list and get it cookie-fied or IP addressified to be able to target from it. And then billing databases and then research, right? So a lot of big brands and a lot of companies have hired research firms, media mix marketing, done a lot of different research. How do you leverage that for your buying, right? So my story here, and we're going to go a little deeper into this, is that there's a lot more than retargeting and third-party data. And though I think a lot of people in the room know what a DMP is, exactly how to use it and whether you need it and how to leverage something like it is an interesting story to dig into, and I'd like to kind of have that debate today with you guys. So let's go into site-side data first. retargeting isn't what it used to be. When we started retargeting, I think it was maybe 2003, and it was as simple as putting a tracking pixel on a client site at the entry point, and then we would have a conversion pixel on the thank you page of where they purchase something or fill out a lead, and that was it. Retargeting's gotten a lot more sophisticated, and linking retargeting and segmenting retargeting audiences is incredibly powerful, because the people that get to your